Hey everyone, welcome to the Soulful Eclectic. I am your host, Dr. Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you to today's episode. Um, if this is the first time you joining us, well, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us and having this conversation. And if you are returning, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And thank you for taking the time out to come back and listen to what we have to talk about here on the Soulful Eclectic. It's been a busy few months, busy few weeks. We all have things going on, and I just appreciate that we all do that minute to check into ourselves first to see how we're doing. You a whole self analysis or self assessment, however you want to say it, and see how we're doing and what our needs are, and if we are meeting our own needs first, and then checking on our friends and family to see if out of that overflow when we fill back up our cup, if there's anything they can that we can give them from that overflow. So thank you for taking that time out. I want to thank our sponsors, the Divine Nubian Essentials, loving the skin you're in. I love their skincare products. They are amazing. They're all natural, holistic. The ingredients you can literally eat if you so desire. And we've had guests tell us that their cats and dogs have gotten into their product and they're still alive. So they are very healthy for us as our two-legged people as well as our four-legged family. The product is made for those who, from diaper to diaper. If you have skin, you are literally in, okay? And it don't matter what color your skin is. So that's great. So thank you, Divine Nubian Essentials. And also thank you to Collins Education Resource Management, where education is truly their passion. Currently, they are telling us that they are working on a workshop to help students who are entering healthcare professions prepare for the rigor of academia that is going to be required of them, because for some it is a challenge, especially to those of us who did not go to the latest and greatest of schools. So they are designed to help us succeed in our professions that we are embarking on. So thank you to Collins Education Resource Management. Now that we got the business out the way, one more thing. WUBI Ubiquity Radio TV. If you have not downloaded your app on Roku, on Apple, or Google Play, I don't know what y'all doing, but please go ahead and download. The DJs are just tearing it up on WUBI. It's a new radio station. So yes, there'll be some glitches and things going on, but with everything that we now listen to on the regular, they all started from somewhere. So give them a try. I did, and I love being with them, and I appreciate being with them. So thank you to WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So today, okay, we have a special guest, and I so appreciate him reaching out to come have a conversation with us on the talk show. He is a local actor here in Arizona, and you guys know how I feel about my creative space for all my creatives, myself being an actress and an artist, a painter. I love my creativity that helps me release from being in healthcare and taking care of people. It's a nice release. And you know, guys all know my husband is an artist as well, and he also works in healthcare. So it's a great release for both of us. And being veterans, it's very therapeutic for us. So we use it on many levels. And so I'm so happy to meet a fellow actor here in Arizona. We're about 2 hours away from each other, but we're still in the same state. But I want to introduce you to our new family member to the tribe of the Soulful Eclectic, Mr. Samuel Calderon. Thank you so much for being a part of the tribe and joining us
Thank you very
today.
much. But thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Absolutely. So you are, how long have you been in Arizona? Are you born and raised here or?
Well, I was born here, and of course, like Phoenix, Arizona, but I was raised in Texas.
Oh,
I lived over there for about 8 years, came back, 10 years ago. So, we had to come back over here. My mom's side of the family's over here, and I had to get used to the heat, I have to tell you that, because the heat, I can't stand the heat as much. But, now that I've been here for 10 years, I'm used to it now. But, over there in Texas is a lot more humid.
Hmm.
That's one thing I didn't like, but, you know, it's always good to be back over here. So, you know,
Nice.
and grateful, to be back because, if I didn't come back over here, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, which is acting. So, you know,
Oh, nice.
so
So
yeah,
how
so,
I love that. So you went from the humidity right into the scalding fire coming here. Where
oh,
in Texas were you living before here?
so I lived in Houston for 3 years and then about 7 years in San Antonio.
Oh, I was stationed
So,
in Fort Sam Houston.
so what's that again?
I was stationed in Fort Sam Houston.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nice over there. It's but San Antonio and Houston are 3 hours away from each other, but
Yes.
it's I have family over there and over here, so I'm always going back and forth, especially during the summer, traveling and whatnot. So yeah, it's always good.
That's awesome. So what got you
Yeah.
into acting? You said if you weren't doing this, what would you have been doing if acting wasn't going to be it?
That's a good question. To be honest, I mean, just working, a 9 to 5 job, which I am doing now, but I'm saying like I
Yeah.
would, just be focused on that, which is just working a 9 to 5 job, not just trying to figure out, exactly, you know, like how could I say this? Like try to figure out um something that I could help me out financially in the long run, of course.
Mhm.
But it's just something that acting. That's something about acting that really connected with me. When I was younger, go home, watch a lot of movies. Like look at the credits, who was involved. Just I don't know. I would just like look at the TV and tell myself, you know, how do I get inside the TV? I want to do that. Like, how are they inside the TV? Like, I want to get in there as well. Like, be inside the TV. I'm like, how could I do that? I want to do that when I grow up. So I would just tell just a big fan of movies. Every single day. You know, just studying. The actors that are on movies.
Mhm.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Uh,
Mm.
you got Jack Nicholson, you got Denzel Washington, like one of my favorite actors of all
Yeah.
time. So, it's always good to study them, you know,
Mhm.
and try to, pick up and, just apply it to your own craft, and that's that's the main thing. I've always had a passion, like whenever it comes to acting. So, I'm just proud of it.
Nice. You know,
Yeah.
um, that is great because I like that you mentioned that you still work a 9 to 5 because people don't don't see
Right.
that part of acting life. They just see the end results when the film comes out and their favorite
Right.
actors are there. They don't understand that there's a whole other part of their lives that takes place and that when you truly look at what we do as creative as actors specifically, it takes us a very long time 15, 20 years before we are actually making a lucrative
Yeah.
career out of
That's true.
our trade, right?
Right.
Just
That's true.
looking at some of who was it, they said Harrison Ford didn't start until he was 40. He was a carpenter, you know. um,
Right.
Vera Wang, she didn't get started until she was 40, 45 in fashion. So I
Right.
love that they mention this, and many of us still hold a 9 to 5. I know I do.
Exactly.
I mean, I
Right.
love what I
Right.
do,
Yeah.
but we still have to pay the
I get
bills,
it.
right?
Oh, right. 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 So yeah, it just I mean, that's totally true. It's just of course, it's always good, to have a 9 to 5, but also still continue, to continue your dream, what you want to do, which is, act, or whether it's, doing whatever you want. If you have a dream, you just pursue it, and, roll the dice, and you never
Mhm,
know, I mean, like manifestation is real, if you believe in
mhm.
something, and go for it. You can't tell yourself, oh, like it's out of my reach, it's impossible. Most people will, will also look at you and be like, you know, they won't believe in you.
Yeah,
As long as you believe in yourself, that's what matters. I mean, that's just the way it
yeah,
is. When people can't see themselves doing that, and they see you that you want to do it, they'll be like, that's impossible. But yeah, as I said, as long as you believe in yourself and continue it, and just tell yourself over and over, write it down on some index
mhm,
cards. And that's what I
yeah,
did. I wrote it down on some index cards. I
yep,
will make it as an actor in life 6 times, and
mhm,
a couple months, 2 to 3 months, I started acting. I started,
right,
you know, just, like looking at roles, and, like just trying to find, different, acting networks, stuff like that. And it became reality. And, and that's what I'm doing now. And, like I said, just like manifestation is real. A lot of people, don't open up their mind, and, and,
yeah,
that like tell themselves, what, it's possible and I could do it. But most people don't have that kind of mentality. They don't have that kind of mentality. And, everybody's different, but if you're smart, and, you're wise, and you know what you want to do, and like, your purpose, like the puzzle will come together, and everything will be okay,
exactly, exactly,
so
and people don't realize, and when you talk about manifestation, right, you'll get some religious Christians,
right,
Catholics, whomever, who say, "Oh, you don't manifest. It's different." I said, "No." I said, "Prayer is manifestation." I said, "Same thing." I said, "How do you think that's happening? You write your prayers down, do you not? You're saying them out loud and you're doing it's the same thing. Meditation, manifestation, prayer. It doesn't matter where and who you believe in, who you're praying to, there is a higher being
right,
and somebody is hearing it. Some entity is hearing it, whoever it is. I'm not
exactly,
downplaying anyone's
right,
religion. I grew up Catholic and Baptist, so
right,
who am I? Right?
right,
So, you have to really believe in yourself. We are groomed to seek validation from others, right?
right, yeah,
You're so beautiful, you're so handsome, or you're so it's like no, but our validation has to start with us validating ourselves. Because
right, that's
if
100%
we
true.
don't, right? Because if we
Yes,
don't, then we're constantly chasing that validation and we're putting ourselves in some pretty bad situations to receive that
right,
validation and that love from somebody else or from outside
right,
source. Kind of like making somebody else the center of your happiness or the giver of your happiness. Like you can't do that.
right,
Nobody should
right,
be
yeah,
responsible for your happiness but
yes,
you.
right. Yeah, that's true, 100%. You know, and like a lot of people, like you said, they expect somebody else, of course, to make them happy. Like make yourself happy. Uh, you know, do do something that's gonna make you happy, and I mean, like you'll figure it out as you go.
Mhm.
Like you'll figure it out. What makes you happy, and of course, like you said, people seek validation and all that and stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
know, sometimes people don't give the same thing you give. And of course, like a lot of people are not gonna believe in your vision and your movement. Like whatever you
Mhm.
want to do, they're not gonna believe in that. And it's like that's just the way it is. I guess it's part of the game, as they say.
It is,
It's
and the vision is, sorry to cut you off, but I just thought about it, but the vision is
it's
not
okay.
theirs, it's yours,
Oh well, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right? So it's
yeah,
kinda unfair for them to say you can't do
right,
something when it's not meant for them, it's meant for you.
right, yeah, 100%, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you said it way better. So yeah, it's it's pretty good. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's just the way it is. I guess
Mhm.
people don't believe in your and like you said, in your vision, and that's the main thing. As long as you believe in yourself and you believe you can do it, I mean that's all that matters.
Yeah,
At the end of the day. So
absolutely.
it's yeah, 100%. And you know, uh, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, like
Mhm.
uh, like what do you think are the keys, of course, to success?
Ah, are there really true keys? Because the keys really change based on the individual. So you can
Right,
have some token keys that can lead you in the right way, but that key is gonna change based on the lock that you're trying to open.
right,
So
yep,
to me, the key really is, one, definitely believe in yourself. Two, you have to do the work. Don't expect someone
right,
else to do the work for you, right? That's
right,
that's number
yeah,
one.
100%.
So believe in yourself is the key. Trust in your vision and do the work. Don't, I
Right,
mean, and be patient.
be patient.
That's the
Yeah, that's true.
That's, that's the
That's the
hardest one
main
for
thing.
us using
Right,
as humans.
right,
That's the hardest one
yeah,
for us as humans.
right. Yeah, no, it's true. It's like a lot of people, of course, they just, of course, like you said, like be patient. A lot of people are not patient. They just,
Mm-mm.
they either they want it right away, and eager to have it now, and you know, sometimes it could be a self-destructive thing.
Mhm. And
And like, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. You're fine. It's just um i- that part of our ego, right? And that patience is what really drives that impatientness within us because we have an ego. We're trying to put ourselves out
It's true.
there and again get that gratification from outside, get that approval from outside, and approval starts within. If you don't, you can't be happy with what you've done and what you've put out. You can't expect somebody else to be happy with
That's
it. And
true.
you,
Yeah,
yeah.
and of course, like you said, you can't expect to do it for you. you know, you got to put in the work. Because at the end, it's just people. People only see, like whenever you're, doing something, like a
Hmm.
film or something like that, like people only see like the easy part, like they don't see what's, like behind the scenes, you know, the,
Hmm.
the, just you getting prepared and stuff like that. And behind the scenes, like the hard stuff, they
Yeah.
don't see that. They just see what's done,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
they think, oh, they they uh they just a lot of people just try to, you know, how could I say this? You know, put you down on what you've done, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, you like whatever it is, your success. They
Mhm.
try to make you feel like you didn't do nothing.
Yes, because it's
And
not them.
exactly. I say that all the time. It just that's like as I said, that's just it's like part of the game. You know,
Mhm.
and you know, I'm sure like you've dealt with that.
No,
You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
you know,
It's one of those things where um, they said, like you said, and we make it look like it's so easy. We make it
right,
look like it's easy. Those actors make it look like it's easy because they work that much harder and work
right,
every day and coach and do all these things so that it can flow easy because it's
right.
work. You get line changes while you're in the middle of filming. Somebody,
Yep.
your director comes in, says, "Okay, you got new lines. Here you are. You got
Yeah.
15 minutes, and we're going to be
Right.
shooting." You
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
then even you go in sometimes, and you like, "I'm an extra," right? Just
Right.
say you're going in as an extra. They like your look, and all of a sudden somebody comes says, "Okay, we want you to say this on camera." It's like, what? I'm here as an extra, and it's like, no, and
Right.
you have to be prepared. So, what do you do to prepare yourself for roles that you're getting,
Well,
or even if you don't have roles ready, what do you do to stay ready?
I just like tell myself all the time, just like stay calm, just take everything step by step, don't overthink it,
Hmm.
and just be prepared when the time comes. That way, you know, you won't have to make a mistake. Just tell yourself multiple times, it's gonna be fine. I can do it. And, just like the puzzle will, like come together, and like you'll be able to figure it out as long as you go. So,
Hmm.
that's the main thing, just try not to overthink it.
Right.
Especially remembering your lines because a lot of people have a hard time, remembering their lines,
Hmm.
and of course, of course, you're gonna make some mistakes whenever you're like doing your lines and stuff like that. You're of course takes and stuff like that. It
Hmm.
happens, but there's people that get distracted, and the thing is like you can't uh be distracted. You got to be prepared. You got to know what you're doing in the moment,
Hmm.
and just tell yourself everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna do fine, and just you know go on, and just believe in yourself that everything's gonna be okay, and eventually, things will be all right.
Yeah. Like what's meant for you, if it's meant for you, it will work its way out,
Right.
right? Do
Yeah.
you take classes? Are you coaching? What do you?
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I would like to welcome you to a show that is called Cruise with Rob C, exclusively on WUBI Ubiquity Radio every Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My name is Rob C, and while taking your cruise, you will hear the very best in smooth jazz, smooth R&B, classic soul, as well as other genres that definitely define the very essence of smooth. I personally invite you to come aboard, and while you're here, grab your favorite beverage, turn up the volume, and have a seat as we set sail on this musical journey for your listening pleasure. You can find us at wubi.live, or depending if you have an Apple or Android device, go to your app store and download our free WUBI app. Take care, and as always, enjoy your cruise, y'all.
I am the Disco Bee.
I am the Alpha Male.
I am Benjamin Grimm, and we host,
From a Queen's perspective,
the seasoned gentleman,
the host of the Love Jones Cafe.
we are the Love Jones Cafe.
the Love Jones Cafe.
We are the Love Jones Cafe.
Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones.
Hey everyone, Dr. Diana Collins here with the Soulful Eclectic, a podcast about being your authentic self and maintaining your health and wellness, brought to you by Divine Nubian Essentials, Love the Skin You're In, and also Collins Education Resource Management, where healthcare education is our passion. If you're looking for a new read, check out our friend Reggie Dupree in Hoodoo Heaven, Return to Hoodoo, and Mystical Midlife Mate, because everything is happening in Hoodoo, brought to you by WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. If you have not downloaded your app on Roku or Apple or Google Play, do so right away. The Soulful Eclectic can be found every Friday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on all your podcast streaming platforms, WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So, see you soon. Namaste. You do acting, you work with a coach. Are you formally in school, or you just do the online coaching?
It's as of right now, it's the online coaching.
Okay.
As of right now, but of course, like maybe, down the road that would be, in person, but as of right now, it's just that, it's the online coaching,
Okay.
It's a very good coach. Has been showing us the ropes, exactly what needs to be done, and when it comes to acting. So
Nice.
I'm pretty excited. So, it's a great coach.
That's awesome. Do you have an agent or agency that you're working with, or?
Yeah, so it's Arizona Actors Network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there, and I'm doing that. I've heard of them in 2023, and I became a part of, that the agency, of course, and the team, and ever since I've come across them, I feel like my life has changed for the better, and it made me, um, do what I always wanted to do, which is act, and that was the main thing, because I always thought to myself, what exactly do I want to do in life? Like, what is it? Because at one point, I had my own YouTube channel on, I wanted to be a motivational speaker,
Nice.
and
Okay.
I was doing that, but I wasn't getting nowhere, when it came to that, and I would always just tell myself, like like what do you want to do, like what is your purpose, stuff like
Okay.
that, and like whenever I came across that, Arizona Actors Network, I told myself this is what I want to do, but
Okay.
of course, like you're gonna struggle on trying to find out, trying to find exactly what you want to do in life. A lot of people do, especially after high school. Most people graduate, get their diploma, go work a 9 to 5 job. I mean, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's always good to try to better yourself and trying to find something that's gonna help you out, or like a career or something, that's gonna help you out down the road, when you get older. So,
No,
it's always,
absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. I was like, absolutely. It's always good to have something to fall back on and to help sustain you.
Right.
Right.
That's true, 100%. Yeah. To have of course, that the 9 to 5 job, because like you said, the bills are not going to pay themselves. So,
Definitely not. Right.
Yeah.
So how many movies have you done so far that you've been in? What tell us some of the things that you've done.
So far, I've done about like 4 films, well, short films, but
Okay.
of course, I want to do a film where it's going to be a little bit longer, and I will get to that point eventually.
Yeah.
I've done, my first short film that I've done was at my house, and it was pretty good. It came out pretty good, believe it or not.
Okay.
It was a horror movie, a scary movie, and
Okay.
it came out pretty good, not bad, And like after that, I played Will Smith. Have you ever seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness?
Yes.
So okay, that one, I played Will Smith, and we did a scene where he's with his son at the park playing basketball.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and um, like they told me, the one of the directors, hey, do you want to do a scene, like redo a scene where it's the pursuit of happiness. You'll be playing Will Smith, and we'll have another actor, which
Mm-hmm.
is supposedly is my son. And we
Right.
go to the park, and we're playing basketball, whatever. And of course, the scene's about where you know my son, of course, wants to be a basketball player, NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
But me, I tell him, you know what, like I don't want you, with this ball all night shooting this basketball because you know
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're not gonna make it. So basically, I'm making my son feel like he can't make it, and I
Right.
feel like I'm like, you know, like just because I couldn't do it, I tell him the same thing. You're not gonna do it, you know,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and I make him feel bad about himself, and that's when I come in and I feel bad too for telling him that, making him feel that way, because I'm supposed
Yeah.
to, make him feel like he could do it and make it in life,
Uplift
and
them, right?
uplift them. Right, exactly. So, you know, and then I feel bad. So I tell him, you know what? Like never let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not
Mm-hmm.
even me. I tell him,
Mm-hmm.
you want something, go get it. Period. And yeah, and like that was like one of my favorite short films that I've done. Of course,
Nice.
especially play Will Smith. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right? Why not?
it's
Of course.
it's pretty cool. Like, I'm a big fan of Will Smith, and playing that short film, me playing him, and of course, you know, I don't know, it was just an experience, of course, and I mean, like it was an honor to play him,
Yeah.
and but of course, there was a lot of negative comments, a lot of, I mean, you mostly
Yeah.
call them haters, but you call them haters, but but you know, that's what it is. I mean, it comes with the territory. It's part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
People. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
Um, but to be honest, I don't. You know, people who say things and negative comments like stuff like that, like that's just a personal opinion. You know,
Exactly.
it's it's just one person's opinion. If they just that's just the way it is. Hey, I feel like I did good, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all that matters. If
And
I
that's
believe
all
in
that
myself, and I'm confident enough I can say I did a very great job on playing that role. 100%. I don't care what nobody says. I did. If I feel like I did a great job, I did a great job, and I know it
matters.
did. And there's bad comments, and good comments. So, you know, I have a good team around me, and that, and a family that believes
Mm-hmm.
in me and supports me, and I'm gonna continue this, till the wheels fall off, and I'm not gonna stop,
That's
you know.
awesome.
So
How do you maintain your sense of self with all of this? Because you talked about the haters, you talked about, how they downplayed your role and how you perform. How do you maintain your sense of self and your authenticity in what you put out there on screen?
Well, I just try to, you know, of course, just try to stay relaxed. Um, just try to do, like just do what you do best, and just don't don't let people, like get in your ear. Don't let them, try to belittle you, and don't focus on what's on the outside. You know, just focus on what you need to do.
Hmm.
Don't stay on the straight and narrow. Forget about what's on the outside. Don't worry about anybody else, but just focus on what you're doing in the moment. Live in the moment and do what you're there to do, which is act. You know, and don't get distracted. You know, just
Mm.
just try not to get distracted. Because a lot of times people get distracted, and they fall off the road. They're not going straight. On
Mhm.
what on which is focusing on what they need to do. Which is your craft, your like whatever profession. Just focus on you and focus on what's important. You know.
Yeah. Stay in your lane, right? Stay in your lane.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
100%.
because your hmm, your path is going to change no matter what.
Exactly.
And
100%.
even though, right, you have those haters, those people who are naysayers, who are non-supportive, or who have all this feedback, negative feedback. Um,
Right.
I always, even though it does hurt me a little bit when I hear it and see the negative feedback, but sometimes it's good to see and read the feedback, because it keeps you grounded, it keeps you humble, and it's like, okay,
100%. Yep.
let me see, let me play that back, let me see what they saw, and see if I can
Right.
see what they saw, because I may not even see what they saw, because again, that's them
Exactly.
listening to
Exactly.
me. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No. 100%. I agree on that. I mean, like when people would say stuff and stuff like that, I would tell myself, I'm like, are they right? You know. And of course, I would go back and take a look at it. You know.
Right.
But I would try to see what they saw and trying to see if they were right. But
Mhm.
I went back and I just try to focus on every little detail to see
Mhm.
supposedly on what I did wrong, or what or what I could have done better.
Mhm.
And of course, but you know if if I feel like I didn't do good, I'm gonna say I didn't do good.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of person to be like, oh, uh, I'm good. On every short film that I've done, I'm good. Oh, whatever. I'm not like that.
Right.
So, I'm, if people, say that, if it was good or if it wasn't good, I'm gonna go and take a look at it. See where I did wrong, and down the road fix it and be better and become a better actor. Focus on the details on what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Because of course, not everything's gonna be perfect, and I mean, like everybody's gonna, say, oh, like you did good, but a lot of people are just saying that just to make you feel good, but sometimes the ones who tell you, hey, this wasn't that good, those are the people that you need around, because
Mhm.
you can't have people that just say, oh, like you did good in every little short film or whatever,
Yeah.
or like yes man, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they say stuff like that, like you need people that tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. Sometimes it
Yeah.
might hurt, but that's what you need is real people around you that's going to tell you
Mhm.
that no, this is what you did wrong, and I respect it, so
Nice.
that's the main thing. So I I just try to you know better myself each and every day and study, you know, the great Hollywood actors. I try to study the way they, do it on film. You know,
Hmm.
I watch movies mostly every day, when I can, of course. But
Right.
just try to focus on that and, try to apply it to my own craft,
Yeah. So, and always make sure that you're putting you in it, right? Because you got to put you. You can't.
Right, right.
Nobody could be
Yeah.
you but you, right? So it's
Yeah,
just like
exactly. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to. So whenever, just like you were mentioning, you like Denzel, you like Will Smith, and you do a lot of, you watch their films and you emulate them a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're putting a piece of you in there because there's already
Exactly.
a Will Smith, there's already a Denzel, there's already a Viola Davis, there's already, you know,
Right.
they're already there.
Right.
I'm not trying to be them. I'm
It's true.
mm-mm.
And I get it. Yeah.
They already there. They're doing
They're
it. They're
already
paving
there.
the way.
Yeah. No, I get it. No, I get what you're saying 100%. Yeah. You know, it's all, I mean, it's good to look up to them and look up to one of the greats, of course, but, you just need a, of course, you know, it's because it's you, like you're a different person. So act
Mhm.
the way like you're supposed to. It's you, like you said, you're your own person, you know. And of course, I feel like, of course I've done that, but of course, but studying one of the greats, it's always good, and but of course, be yourself, don't try to
Mhm.
be anybody else because that's not going to be good for you. So
No, no.
yeah,
And it's
so
great that you have such great family support. Are you married with children?
uh as of right now, no, I'm not. I'm just I mean, just taking it, I mean, eventually at some point, but I mean, like, not right now, you know. I'm trying to focus on myself and, of course, trying to figure things out, and try to, of course, continue with this acting stuff,
Okay.
and just try to, you know, um, just continue on what am I passionate about, which
Mhm.
is acting, and it's uh it's gonna take a long time, of course, to try to, you know, open that door,
Mhm.
but of course, I mean, it could take 10 years or, you know what I mean? Or 10 to 15, 20, around there, but you just can't
It could be
stop,
5. You could be one of the lucky
Well,
ones, and
maybe,
right?
yeah, 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 of course, yeah,
And
or
you
even
talk
less than
about
that.
manifestation, right? And putting it in the universe. It could be 5 years. It could be 2. It could be tomorrow. You know, it
100%, yeah, that is, you're right. Yeah, yeah, it's
there's
true,
no
it's just,
limit.
a lot of people, yeah, well, like when we talked about, the manifestation, of course, I mean, well, like back on that topic, but yeah, like I said before, I got 6 index cards, wrote down, you know, I want to be an actor. I will make it as an actor in life 6 times, and then a couple months later, I'm acting, like I'm doing short films. I've done films here and there. You know what I mean? Like it's just unexpected. Like you 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 speak it into existence. Just like I said, just manifestation. It's real. Most people think
Mhm.
that it's not, but it is real. You pray to God, and like you align the stars, and everything will fall into place. So
Yep,
that's it's it's a beautiful thing, though, really.
it
You know,
really is. It really
you
is.
know,
And we and I cannot stress enough the work that we put into it and that we, breathe into ourselves. So kudos to you to really stepping out
right,
there and putting yourself out there because you're really putting yourself out to be scrutinized, right?
right,
And for the world to
yeah,
see. I mean, every day. I mean, just like we had some technical issues, right?
right,
So
yeah,
So everyone, please forgive us, okay? Because we were saying some really profound stuff, and I'm still going to put it
Right.
out because there's no
Oh,
recreating that.
nah, I get it. I mean, hopefully
There's no.
all that, yeah, I get it. I mean, hopefully, that part that was, I guess it was, glitching a little bit. It's, like hopefully it's edited out.
Yeah,
You
you
know what I'm
know
saying?
what? It's just like I tell everyone I am an army of one when it comes to my podcast. I don't have a stream of engineers and editors and all these things. It's all me because I
That's
want
good.
us and our voices to get out. So no,
You are your own boss. I like that.
I am my
You are
own
your,
boss, right? So
you are your own boss. Yeah.
I am my own boss. So even though I do try my best, I'm gonna do my best to try to edit some of that out. But I'm gonna tell you,
You good.
probably won't happen a lot of it. So it's okay.
Right. Sorry about
Because
that.
even for me, I think I was telling somebody else who was doing a podcast. They're like, "Yeah, well, I want to put the best piece of information out, and I want to do this." And I said, "Okay, that's great. You have the best intentions." I said, "I can tell you right now, I can count on one hand how many glitchy videos of me that are out there."
Right. I agree.
On my podcast, even my husband, he goes, "You were glitching in that video." I said, "Yeah, shut up. It's okay."
Right.
The message was
Yeah.
still heard. The message was heard. That's all that
Right.
matters. They know what
Yeah.
I look like.
Right.
It's
I
fine.
get that.
So, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things, and that's why I love doing this because it's truly authentic. It is what it is. This is two creatives having a conversation, talking about being our best selves
Exactly.
and putting ourselves out there, and just walking this journey and making our footprint in the world, making our footprint
Right.
in the world so we can
So making
leave
that mark.
something behind, right?
Right. No, I get it. And like you said, I mean, you, um, it's always good, to create something out of nothing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, like that's just the beauty of, like of course, being creative and trying to, you know, make something happen. You know,
Yeah.
like you're, like interviewing, podcasting, and stuff like that, and of course, you know, like doing interviewing, of course, like local actors and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like most people don't have the vision or or the how do I say the creativity to do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially doing of course like a live interview or stuff like that. People
Yeah.
don't have the mindset or just the mentality because of course a lot of people their mentality is different. And it's you
Mm-hmm.
know like we both have both have a good head on our shoulders. So
Mm-hmm.
and we have something that like that, then it's always good to run with it. You know,
Yes.
it's always
Yes.
it's always good to run with it and roll the dice and see what happens. So
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's why I just love talking to us all as creatives. And you being out in Phoenix, I'm sure we'll probably be in a film somewhere at some point in
I hope
time
so.
together.
I hope so.
Because I'm always filming in Phoenix, even though I live out here in Tucson.
Right.
I'm in Phoenix. I was just in Phoenix on Friday filming,
Oh,
and I'll
really?
be back in
Okay.
Phoenix in another few weeks to finish the same
Nice.
film. So,
Okay.
you
That's nice.
definitely, yeah. So you never
Yeah.
know where we might
Yeah.
meet again.
I
On,
hope so. Yeah.
you know,
Hope so. Yeah. I
I
mean, like it'll be
I
an like it'll be an
yeah.
honor to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely an honor to work with you. I think
Yeah,
we need to strengthen that circle. And there's so much backbiting in this creative world, and there's always someone trying to take advantage of us because they see our hunger and our drive. And so,
true.
there's always that some evil genius out there who rather spend their time, manipulating others rather than helping others. So we definitely
It's
have
true.
to, build that circle for us
Right.
of entities and bodies that we trust and that we can work
No,
with, because
100%. I agree.
oh my goodness, the
I,
things that
I,
I've
I, I
encountered.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Trust me. 100%. It's crazy work.
It
That's
is
crazy
crazy.
work.
It is
Yeah.
crazy. And, and everybody is the next Lee Daniels out here. And they're trying to, you want to believe in their dream. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm getting the short end of this deal here. So, you know,
Yeah.
we definitely have to protect ourselves and our interests. And I think that's the other piece that people don't understand when they
Yeah.
come into acting and they just say, I want to be an actor. I say, okay,
Right. Yeah.
what are you going to do? How are you starting this? Do you have a portfolio? How are your headshots? Do you have a
Right.
resume? What's on your resume? Did you go to school? Are you coaching? Are you just, you know, those things? And, many of them like, no, I like it. So I'm just going to go out and do it. And like,
You
uh,
gotta have a you gotta have a passion for it.
you have to have
You
a
know what I mean?
passion. You have to have a plan.
Right. A plan. Yeah,
The
exactly.
three P's: a passion, a plan, and a purpose.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like
However order you
it's-
want to put it in,
you
you have to
you said
have
it
those
good. Right, right, right. 100%. Yeah.
things.
Yeah, that's the
Otherwise
main
you're
thing.
otherwise you're just floating through the world,
Basically, yeah.
being taken advantage of, because those are the people that are usually being taken advantage of. Those who don't have
Yeah.
those three P's: purpose, plan, or the work to doing it,
Right. Right. No,
so
I agree. 100% I
that
agree on that.
that purpose, plan, and passion is definitely needed for it. So yeah, so thank you so much for that.
Uh,
I
yeah,
think
no worries.
I, you know, I'm interested to see what your next moves will be as you're growing, because you said you just started, right?
Yeah, I'd say about like a year and a half, you know.
Okay.
But also, I mean, another thing is, people don't know, like sometimes it could be difficult to try to get roles, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because of course it's not easy, it's of course you got to roll the dice and and
Hmm.
who knows, to see if you'll get that part, you know. Most people don't get the part, don't get me wrong, I've gotten rejected multiple times,
We all do.
but it happens, you know what I mean? And it's just, and like people think, oh, just because you got rejected, oh, you're no good. It's not that. It's
No,
just
it's not that.
it just it just you weren't right for that part. You know what I mean?
That part wasn't
It's
for you, right? and
right,
and
right, right,
I don't, I try to change that verbiage. It's like, I'm not right for that part. It's not that. It's that part wasn't written for me,
oh, exactly. Well, yeah, 100%.
right?
Yeah,
That part wasn't written for me in mind.
right,
And that's okay. I'm not what they envisioned for that part because it wasn't written for somebody like me. And that's fine. But every
right.
audition is a great audition. That's a win,
Exactly,
because
exactly.
it got you in the room to be seen, because maybe
Right,
you're not right for that vision that they had
right,
for
right.
that
But
role.
for the next one, you probably will be right. So
That's right. Because
yeah,
they're going to
yeah. So
remember what you did, and they're going to like something that you've done and say, you know
right,
what? This role is not for you, but I have the role that's perfect for you.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I agree. And
So,
and I got some I have another short film like coming up soon. It's called Talos. So
uh-huh.
this movie's about it's called Talos. It's about me and this other so I play a detective. Me and another detective dress up as we're like undercover detectives. We go into say like a bar, and there's the criminal that we're trying to